you really have to keep an open mindset. You can learn something new every day.
Hey, welcome back to the Amazing Freedom Amazon Seller Podcast. Andy, you've been hitting the stores, scanning products with your son, and kind of just back to the grind of arbitrage the last few weeks during Q4, which just adds a new level of excitement, I think, to your day-to-day. Walk us through what you're seeing there on the ground, and what's it like getting back to kind of the roots of where you started with Amazon and doing it with your son too.
Yeah, so if you've been listening to the podcast at all, you know that our primary business model is selling our own brand of products on Amazon. I think, Nate, we're about to hit $10 million in sales on Amazon, possibly today, but for sure by tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. That was our reach goal for this year, is to be able to sell 10 million just on the Amazon sales channel. So that's pretty exciting. Those are our own products. So we manufacture products here in the USA as well as overseas. They're under our brand. It's an exciting brand. We have high hopes for it. Our ultimate goal is we want to be able to hit 33 million in sales within 3 years. So we're really marching toward that. But we also then had the opportunity to purchase basically another person's company who does a lot of online or retail arbitrage. And so if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you know that that's how Nate and I both started out. We both started out selling on Amazon with scanners in our hand, going to garage sales. Well, actually, I started selling things around my house first, and then we would go to garage sales, and then big box stores, auctions, anything that had a barcode that we could look up. That's what we sold. So we were resellers, is probably the technical term for it, and very successful at it. And then we just kind of progressed basically to selling our own products. Well, when this opportunity came up, we were excited because we know a number of people who continue to crush it as online and retail arbitrage sellers. In fact, if you're familiar with the group that we help co-manage called the Amazon Seller Tribe, there are over 130 members in that group that sell $1 million a year, and many more than that, just doing online and retail arbitrage. So reselling has been around forever. We think it's going to continue to be around because if you've ever taken a business class in college, right, business is really about buying low and selling high. And there's market inequalities and there's arbitrage opportunities. So it was a long intro to say, yes, I'm back now in some of these stores that I started in 9 years ago with my scanning app. And it's exciting because my son, who's a senior in high school, he does all online school. So he's free during the day. He's basically almost like a college schedule. And so now he's learning the business and he's able to go with me to these stores. So it's been really cool going with him and teaching him the Amazon ecosystem on how to scan, how to find profitable products. And the cool thing about having him, because he's newer to the business, is having a fresh set of eyes. Sometimes in business, right? Because in life, when you've done something for a long time, you can become jaded or you can become closed off, I think, to potential new opportunities. And so having a fresh set of eyes or somebody new has been really good because he'll scan things that I necessarily won't scan. So we were in this store just the other day and I could see him and I was at the one end of the aisle, he was at the other, and he walked right in front of this product. And I'm thinking in my head, man, what a waste of time. Like AJ, don't even scan that. And so, I didn't say anything though. So he scanned it and he said, Dad, come take a look. And sure enough, this was a product that you could purchase for 25 cents. That's how much we paid for it at the store. And it was selling on Amazon for between $17 and $20 per unit. So imagine the ROI on that. I don't have a calculator there, but it's extreme. And so we went ahead, we bought 24 units, right, as a test, and we listed them on Amazon and they almost sold immediately. So that's just, it was a new, again, realization to me that always keep your eyes open. And there may be opportunities out there that you personally have never experienced, but that doesn't mean they're not there.
Yeah. And so, I mean, how much time did that take you to get those units, right? You're talking about a couple minutes of scanning and a couple minutes to add them to your cart at that point for, like you said, an ROI that's in the hundreds of percents, even after fees, I'm sure, in that. So, I mean, what's that like? I'm just curious now, like scanning with AJ, him doing that, does that get him excited? Is he kind of in this like, does it mean anything to him? I'm trying to think back to my original arbitrage days. That's been 7 years now. And it's definitely, I feel like you have to either have that kind of thrill the hunt mentality where you like to, it's like a game. Does he got that, or he's still kind of figuring out like what's he doing scanning in the store? What's that like right now?
Yeah, so you can imagine he's a senior in high school, right? And so you really, I don't think, begin to ponder like, man, what am I going to do with my life till you hit that graduation stage, right? Your senior year. Most folks either go to college, they'll go to the military, or they'll go into workplace full time. And so he's kind of in that stage, right? He's still trying to formulate like what I'm going to do. And so it's been exciting for me as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, scanning with him and then showing him the profit, because I want him to be able to see that there are other options out there than what, our culture tells you, which again, they mainly push the three, go to college, go to the military, or get a job, right? But I want him to know that there's a fourth option. Look, you can become a business owner. And so like, even like in that scanning opportunity, what I'm trying to teach him is like, look, AJ, I want you to be able to look at your time, the amount of money, right, that you just made there. And then imagine if you're doing this full time, how, potentially if you ever want to go off on your own someday, the ROI on your time and the money that you can make is really infinite when you're a business owner and you really figure out a good business. So that's been cool being able to teach them that.
I love that. One of my biggest kind of frustrations is growing up, I felt like I was never really told that being an entrepreneur, having your own business was really even an opportunity. And unfortunately, I didn't read enough biographies and other things that kind of led me down that path. Thankfully, I still got there early enough, just because we talk about this all the time, the Amazon opportunity, and you shared that with me, and I kind of stumbled onto it at still a young age, at 21 or so I was. But this was after I'd still gone through all the school, gone through all this training, certification, and I felt even though in hindsight I was still so young, but I felt like at 21 I was locked into this career path that I had to do in the financial services world. And so I really like that you have, whether AJ decides it's for him or not, it sounds like that's going to be, totally up to him, obviously, but just sharing that with other people, getting that message out there. One, I think with YouTube and everything else kind of going on, as far as like internet media, it's way easier to find these now for younger people, which is great. But just having you as a mentor there for him personally, really like that. And just a family type of, what do you call it, a family business, or just being able to kind of work together as a family. To me, that's always something like it's good. It teaches you really good principles and just stuff that you can't really learn by going to school, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, from a nuts and bolts Amazon business, it's exciting to be able to have someone, again, that can kind of stretch me, even though I've been this in 9 years. You really have to keep an open mindset, that, you can learn something new every day. And so, I think that's actually a good lesson, for folks that are listening. If you've been running your Amazon business for a while, maybe you've tried a category before, but you failed. Well, you know what? That doesn't mean that you should shut the door on that category completely. I know people that have done that. I mentioned a category. They're like, oh, I tried that. I failed miserably. Well, you may have failed that time, but there may be another time where you need to go back to the category, because there may be products, right, that are going to be extremely profitable, but because you've shut it off, you may lose out on an opportunity.
Yeah, let's stay there and get specific for especially with people with arbitrage. So we're in the an existing Amazon arbitrage account, but new to us, right? New to Andy and I, and we're kind of operating it, helping to operate it at this point by going in and looking at the numbers, looking at the accounting and our diversity of products, our cash flow, all that, right? So we're kind of getting knee deep in the business just because we just bought into it in the last month, and so. One of the things we felt like as we got in there this last couple of weeks was that we were too heavy in one specific product type, one category, and specifically one like product type within the category, we were just too heavy there. And we felt like that was just a little risky and an issue. So this is us personally, just because we're coming in and we're looking at it. A lot of people get to the $1 million sales mark just selling one type of product. So everybody's got to analyze their own situation. But what would you say if somebody does feel like they need to expand their product mix and they need to find new products to sell? I mean, you kind of talked about it with AJ there, what you know, the mindset you're having, but what are we trying to do when it comes to this arbitrage account and get new products in there?
Yeah, so when we came in and started looking under the hood, specifically, we felt like we were way too deep in one brand. So as a online or retail arbitrage sellers, right, you have really millions of brands of products that you could possibly flip. Well, as we were looking at the account, we just felt like it was way too deep in just one brand out of those millions that are out there, you know, to possibly flip. And so our suggestion, right, was to the shopper as well as to our account manager. Look, let's begin to diversify. But we didn't want to upset the apple cart because the profit that they're bringing in from this brand is really good, right? And so, you know, as a business, and I've seen this before too, at the previous company I used to work for, when new management would take over, they would throw the baby out with the bathwater because they had some new idea, right? And a lot of times it would end up going bad. And so, you know, as we are taking this company over, we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, there are many things they're doing that are really good. And so we want to, you know, continue to do those, but we just want to dial it down a little bit to mitigate our risk by adding in these other brands to the one brand that they're doing really well. You know, as an Amazon seller, there is a little bit of danger when you become heavily dependent as a reseller in one brand. You know, you never know, that brand all of a sudden could become restricted, you know, and then you're stuck, you know, potentially with $50,000 or $75,000 of inventory. And so for our business, you know, and our choice, we much rather be diversified in many brands than just to be heavy in one.
So how do you do that, right? Because I'm thinking back, and as an arbitrage seller, it's hard. Like, you find what works for you, so then you just want to chase that because, I mean, it's like guaranteed profits in a way. And it's hard to just say, you know, what else can I sell, or what stores are good? So in your experience here and talking to the team, what's your advice to them on how to get into these other stores and products that are going to be good opportunities?
Yeah, so we're talking again very location independent now, because this is a shopper that works for us that gets in a van and goes out, right, and does retail arbitrage. And so what we first had to do is say, hey, look, what kind of opportunities are out there based on our location? What retail stores have you gone to in the past, but maybe for whatever reason, you're not going to those anymore? And so our suggestion was, hey, look, let's look at what we've done in the past, other stores where we've been able to acquire other brands and other products, and let's try to add into the current mix, right, of this one brand that we're heavy, these other stores that we've had success at in the past. And for whatever reason, you know, we've just stopped going to. So that was kind of the first step, I think.
I mean, if that shopper is going there and they haven't been there in a while, and we're trying to kind of get them into it, they're going to walk in a little bit like unsure of themselves, I guess, and where to start. There's a couple things, I guess. Is one, with almost every place we're shopping, this is kind of standard arbitrage. We're trying to build a relationship with the store management if possible, right? So I think that's kind of like one of our first things we would do. But what else, right? They're coming in the store and they don't know where to start. So if somebody's listening to this, or if they have a shopper, what's in your mind the best way to go about it? Is it just to scan everything? Is it to start with like certain places you know already work? Again, I'm trying to put myself back in this arbitrage shoes. I walk into kind of a new store I haven't been into for a year. Where am I going to start?
Yeah, so this is a little bit of where the grind comes in, a little bit of where experience comes in, and I think a little bit of where the art of knowing kind of what products sell on Amazon comes in. So the first one is the grind. Like, it just takes a certain amount of scans, right, before you're going to hit a product when you're at a new store. And so if I'm at a new store shopping products, possibly in a new category I've never been before, you are going to be scanning a number of products in that store to try to get a feel, right, for what potential products could flip on Amazon. So that's kind of the grind part. The second part is the art part. So you're going based on experience. And so if I'm coming up, to a store and I see a product and it's really large and it's really heavy and it's not that discounted, from what I know of, price wise, that's probably a product I'm going to pass by, just based on experience and knowing that like shipping big or heavy products into Amazon, is pricey. And then the third thing I think that shoppers who've been doing this for a while too understand is generally when you're going to a new store, one of the first questions you ask yourself or you ask someone there is, hey, do you have a clearance section? That's where I would personally start scanning first, is in that clearance section, to try to see, hey, there might be some products there that I could hit. And then I would hit a specific section and really just try to work that section. So maybe it is, if you're in a grocery store, you hit the Spanish section where, it's mainly Spanish foods. And if you've never done that before, you want to try to comb through that section to know that next time you come here, you're not going to scan that section because you went through it. You didn't find any products. So now the next time you come to that store, you're going to be able to leave that out, right? And you can conquer other areas of the store.
Right. So, I mean, just kind of like a quantity thing at first where you just got to grind it out. And again, we're still hitting the stores and the products that we know kind of hit our base foundation of products, but this is trying to always be expanding our product mix and opportunities. And we do the same thing with our brand. Obviously, we're heavily in one brand. When it comes to private label, the good thing is it's our brand, at least, so we have a little bit more control over this, everything that's involved there. But even with our brand, what I will say there is we've tried to have some mix to that, where now we have products that are made in China, we have products made in India, we have products soon made in Vietnam, we have products made in the US, right? So there's a mix of where we're getting the products, and then the categories of products themselves. Even under our one brand, we now have multiple different categories that we're selling in. So even though it's a single brand, we have a lot of different products, SKUs, categories, and countries of origin even. So we've tried to take a similar approach in our brand as we would like to see in arbitrage. And again, everyone's different. Some people just get one product that really hits and takes it off, and they do well with that. And that's great to a certain extent normally. And then at some point, usually you're like, okay, should I, diversify a little bit? So I think that's a personal decision everyone has to make. This is kind of the slow and steady method that we've taken along the way that's worked. And now it's allowed us to get a little bit more risky. And kind of going back to full circle here, why are we even doing it? Why are you going into the store? Why are we doing arbitrage? We've talked about this, but one of the biggest reasons is, one, we just think there's an opportunity, but it's a good cash flow, good cash flowing business, right? So when we're in the arbitrage, we're trying to make a cash flow machine essentially that we can then take the profits from and either create, buy more products and just kind of accelerate the cash flow machine, or create new brands, new opportunities, do other stuff in e-commerce. So that's kind of our personal goal there. Anything else you'd add to that, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, again, for my son and I, we spent a total of 5 hours scanning, and that 5 hours has led to sales gross sales over $15,000 on Amazon. So, and that's just scanning in local stores around where I am in Hershey, Pennsylvania. 5 hours of work that translate into $15,000 gross sales. That tells you, again, the power of the Amazon sales channel, right? The number of customers they have on there, but also just the opportunity. If we can squeeze out more time, then, we do 10 hours, that jumps to 30,000. And, you can do the math.
Yeah. $3,000 an hour of sales per work input is a pretty good ratio. And the ultimate goal would be to create the system there that kind of just keeps running by itself. We're kind of in the early stages where you have to go in and, just like Elon Musk with Twitter, where you got to go in and kind of do the work in the late nights for a period of time before it runs by itself. That's kind of where we're at right now in the grind phase of it. And it's fun though, too. I think you always have to stay close to the ground at some level, or you get too far from it, and you have a hard time making decisions because you just don't know how to do the actual day to day. A lot of people talk about teaching stuff or telling other people, but they never do it themselves. And at some point it gets hard to be relatable with what actually needs to happen. And so I think we're trying to make sure that we always understand what we're talking about from a ground level.
Yeah, I'll just share, one more thing. One of my favorite pictures early on with selling on Amazon is I used to have a Toyota Prius and would go to one of my honey holes. Every time I would fill that Toyota Prius up, the back seat, the trunk, the passenger seat, you couldn't see out of anywhere. And just last week, same thing with my son, AJ. I have a truck now, but the bed of the truck was totally full. The back seat was totally full. So, the more things change, kind of the more they stay the same when, there are products out there that are still extremely profitable if people are willing to put their boots on and do the work.
Yeah. And I would end with this, like there's something to be said for sticking with a certain specialty, whatever that is for you, and the specialized knowledge that you learn over time. I think so many people just bounce from one thing to the next in a way that's completely different, and you just have to start over from ground zero every time. And so now that you've been doing this for 10 years almost, right, Andy, it's your knowledge of what you've learned has built up. That being said, you still have to keep your eyes open. That's why having fresh eyes like AJ there with you to make sure you're not too stuck in your old ways can help you out.
Yep. Good stuff.
All right. Well, hopefully that's helpful to you. And we'll be talking about next week, all things arbitrage, private label, brand building, selling on Amazon each week here at the Amazing Freedom Amazon Seller Podcast. Catch you next